Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Becoming Roy podcast. I'm your host, Roy, and this show exists to help people discover who it is that they were made to be. Do that by sharing the little bit that I know and the stuff that I'm learning. I will be sharing the journey that I'm on to become who it is that I believe that I was made to be. And the last way that we do that, which I actually haven't done yet, is having conversation with people that are living an inspired life, that are doing the things that they feel that they were made to do, that are on this journey of becoming themselves. And today, I'm really excited to share with you some things that I've just been working on. I just spent maybe 2 hours at a computer with some paper and was just writing things out for the new year. Now, if you're like me, maybe you're beating yourself up about things that you said you were going to do that you didn't do, or you're like, all right, this is my year. Okay. I'm kind of over that bullshit for me personally, because it was supposed to be my year for the last 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Okay. And so obviously I'm doing something wrong. So I turned to a content creator who has been, I feel, mentoring me from afar. And his name is Ali Abdul, and he has this like life audit kind of preparation to prepare for the new year. So I did that. I'm going to link that video below. I literally just followed it and paused when he told me to pause and wrote down and answered the questions he was asking. And I'm going to take you through my personal answers. I literally took like 5 or 6 pages of notes just on these couple of videos that I was watching. And so the big three that we're going to be looking at is we're going to reflect, we're going to align, and we're going to plan. And I'm going to jump right in with that. I'm going to share with you my answers, if you will, for a couple of reasons. One, I just did an episode about the power of remembering. So one, this is going to be for me to remember where I'm at, for you to remember where I'm at, because I'm going to keep sharing and I'm going to arrive to a place of inspiration and consistency and health where, you know, you guys are going to be able to look back on December 25 and be like, holy shit, Roy really has made leaps and strides and just is doing what he said he was going to do. And maybe it's just me watching that, and that's still dope as hell. Okay, so in the reflect portion of this exercise, again, this video is linked below. Ali had, he has you write out a circle, and he calls it the Wheel of Life. And the circle, you'll then draw it into 3 big categories. I'm looking at notes, if you're wondering where I'm looking down. The 3 big categories are work, health, and relationships. And then each of those categories will get 3 subcategories. And so I'll start with romantic. The 3 categories are, I'll start with relationships. The 3 subcategories are relationship, family, and friends. Romantic, I gave it a score of 0 because very single, making no steps towards really putting myself out there. Whatever, that's fine, but it is something that I do want. That score, 0. Family, I gave it a score of a 5. That could maybe be a 6. I have some family that's really close in proximity to me that I haven't seen in a while, that I don't talk to as much as I should. So that was definitely a ding. And then I don't call home as much as I would like. So that was also a ding. So I gave that a 5. Could maybe be a 6. Could definitely call my grandparents, my aunts, my cousins more. So yeah, give that a 5. And then my friendships, I gave that score a 6. I've met some really cool people recently that I've kind of been nurturing those relationships, trying to be more intentional, and have also been trying to nurture relationships that I've had for years. I think what's hard for me personally with friends is my best friends are not close in proximity. They're in Kentucky and North Carolina and Baltimore and New Mexico and Minnesota. Like, they're all over. So I give that a 5. Next, work. My mission score is mission, money, and growth. Mission, I gave it a 6. I enjoy where I work at. and I work for a church. I don't necessarily feel called, quote unquote, or convicted to work for a church. So that's one reason why it is a little bit lower. Excuse me. I am doing storytelling, and I think it's a beautiful church. It is a church that I'm proud to be a part of. I'm proud to invite people to. I'm not embarrassed to invite people that I meet randomly. People that say, hey, I have church hurt, I want nothing to do with church. I'm not scared to invite them here because I personally have experienced so much healing and so much just healing and grace, and like they're just real people. And I really love the people here, the leadership here, and just a lot to rave about. I honestly would love to talk about that with anyone that is curious, like so much so that I don't know if I can share this, whatever. This is the first church that I have consistently tithed to with period. But like, there's like a conviction with that. Like, I know this is a good place. I know they're loving people because I'm seeing the conversations. And there are other churches I've been a part of before. I was like, this is a good place, but excuse me, not like this. Those places that I've felt that way about, there was always something weird, and then it never ended well. Listen to my religious trauma, quote unquote, podcast if you want more about that. But I've never given money to a church this way, with this conviction, with this consistency. Happy to talk about that more offline. I don't want this to be a place where I'm like harping on organizations positively or negatively, but it is something that I have strong feelings about. So talk to me about that if you want. Okay. So that is my mission. I like it here. I think they're doing great things. I gave it a 6. It's more than half. I think there's purpose in it. It just doesn't really feel like my purpose, if you will. Money, I give it a 5. I do work at a restaurant, and I do weddings on the side. That's kind of out of necessity. I think that's largely because of the way that I choose to live. I think I'm pretty responsible with my money. That is something I'm trying to work on as well. But I gave that a 5. Next, my growth, I give that a score of a 6. That could probably be a 7, honestly. You know, my full-time job here, there are plans for growth. There are continual check-ins. There's goal setting. There is, just plans for professional development. And so I definitely feel like I'm growing in my communication skills. I feel resourced. Even like this video right here is brought to you by the resources available to me here. And so I do feel like I'm growing as a person. I feel like I'm growing as a communicator. I feel like I'm growing as a storyteller, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I gave that a 6, could probably be a 7. The last quadrant is the health. It's not really a quadrant. The last big section of our 3-piece circle is health. And this one, I save this one for last because it kind of leads into some other stuff. But my subcategories are body, mind, and heart. For my heart, I feel like my attitude and overall whatever. Excuse me. I give that a 5. I mean, I've been having a really hard time the last couple weeks, couple months, and it's been a challenge, and it's been intentional to maintain a positive attitude. So where I'm at today, heart health 5. My mind health, I gave that a 4. I don't feel like I'm doing great. I've been really stressed. I've been a little sick. I've been procrastinating on projects that have caused unnecessary stress. There's been just things going on. I don't feel like I'm able to bounce back the way that I normally have been able to. So I give that a 4. And then my body health score, I gave that a 2. I mean, I just am not doing well physically. I am struggling for breath right now. I'm just talking to a camera. I'm out of breath walking to my car. I do park at the top of the parking garage, but I've done that for a long time, in the last year. I've fallen so far. I was 270. I hate saying this, but I was 270 in May, and I'm 321 pounds right now. 50 pounds that I've gained. Embarrassing. So body, not good. And then there's a 10th category that's outside of the circle that Ali Abdaal refers to, and that's joy. And I give my overall joy a 5 for most of the reasons I listed out above. So anyways, that's a little bit about the reflection. Again, I talked about this in a recent podcast about remembering, but it's really good to take note, to mark, to acknowledge this is where I'm at, because I am moving forward. And the next part of the video was alignment. And he had a really cool activity. I'm kind of like nervous to share this. I'm kind of nervous to be this vulnerable to anyone that is willing to watch. So for alignment, of course, it's really cool that we're talking about alignment too, because I recently heard a speaker talk about cutting things out, kind of realigning. Actually, today I listened to that. So this was cool, but they had Ali had the viewers do an exercise, and it was, what is your 3-year sketch? What do you imagine life looking like in 3 years? Where are you living? What kind of home or what kind of building do you live in? Is it an apartment? Was it a house? What does it look like? What are you doing? How fulfilled are you? Like, just kind of dreaming and imagining. And I'm gonna read you mine, I think. But it's just this kind of stuff I don't love to share. And it's not because I want to be secret or private, but I think it's because I don't always believe I deserve it. I don't believe I can achieve it. I don't believe whatever. Anyways, so I'm going to read this to you. It kind of got me fired up, if I'm being honest. And I'm hoping it gets you fired up too. I think that's part of the point. Okay, and so my 3-year stretch, I'm either still living downtown or I'm buying a house. I think a downtown duplex or a condo would be fire. I'd love to have a solid group of friends, creative friends, hardworking friends, honest, friends that love God, people like Josh, Gavin, people like the Kirbys, more of those around, like close in proximity. Physically, I like to be competing in marathons, Ironmans, and high rocks races. I better be dunking a basketball in 3 years. I hope that I'm playing in like some sort of rec league or just pick up every week. As far as fulfillment goes, I hope to be inspiring through my journey, through my story, and through my accomplishments. The biggest of those being losing 100 pounds and loving myself. I would love to only be working 40 hours a week, max. I would like to have no side jobs, no side hustles from necessity. I would like, okay, so those were kind of like the not dreaming. And then I say to dream, to quote unquote dream a little, I have to be making money online from YouTube or TikTok, or dare I say influencer. I'm throwing up in my mouth. I'd like to be in school to be a teacher or a coach with the goal of giving away 100% of my salary to the students that I'm coaching or teaching. I would also love a Tesla. I also think it'd be really cool if I was engaged in 3 years. Okay, so those are some of my alignments. I cannot believe I'm sharing this. That's pretty dope. Anyways, do that. Write down your 3-year sketch. It kind of paints a cool little picture in my head of what I'm working towards. Next up is the plan. Now this I thought was really cool. Okay. Now he talks about having a main quest, and then he talks about having some side quests. You really shouldn't have, more than 3 or 4 total things that you're working on or working towards. That's what Ali was saying. And in my mind, I was like, what do you mean? I have 10 things that I need to work on. And I think this kind of can be true, but look at me. I've had New Year's resolutions for the last 10 damn years, and I've achieved 0 of them. And so I say that kind of tongue in cheek. But so I'm trying to stick to 3 to 4 goals. And these are my goals that I'm going to be pursuing, and I'm going to share them with you. There was 5 things that he said that will drastically help you achieve your goals. This is the second video that I watched. It was like 5 science-based things you can do to actually achieve your goals. So I'm going to give you those 5 things, and then we're just going to keep going. Okay. So the first thing that you need to do, that I actually did, was write down the goals. Okay. And there was a study, I wrote this down because I don't want to quote random shit. There's a study of the Dominican University of California, a study that showed that there's a 42% increase in people achieving their goals that wrote it down opposed to people that didn't write it down. 42% increase. That is insane, even if it's just odds going up 42%. And so write down your goals. Okay. He then says to look at them every single week. He says to monitor your progress. He says to visualize the goals. That kind of goes into that little 3-year sketch, and to make a plan and then tie them to an identity. And so my goals, I'm just going to share a few of them with you. Okay. Now, I'm still kind of formulating my own worldview philosophy on goal setting and such, because there is a passage in the Gospel of Luke. For anyone that doesn't know, I did grow up a Christian, and I do subscribe to monotheism, Christianity. I'm fleshing out what that actually means because I've just had a lot of trauma and stuff that has happened in organized religion. Again, if you haven't checked out my podcast on religion, listen to that. That gives you a much more deeper dive into all that. But I do believe in Jesus, and I do believe in the Bible, and I do believe in that. And so there's a pastor that I had growing up, one of the few pastors that I had growing up that was actually amazing and whatever. And I remember he was sitting me down, and we were doing a Bible study every week, just him and I, after I had graduated high school. And he took me to Luke chapter 2. Everyone knows it. It's like the Christmas story. It's kind of all we get of Jesus' childhood. And the last verse, Luke 2:52, this stuck with me. This stuck with me so hard. Like, it's not written down. It's just burned in my memory. Luke 2:52, the last thing we hear about Jesus' childhood before we dive into his adult ministry, it says that he grew in favor with God, favor with man, wisdom, and in stature. And my pastor said those are kind of like the 4 wheels of a car. Wisdom, stature, favor with God, which he related to relationships, or favor with God, which he related to your spiritual relationship with God, and then favor with man, which he equated to relational, just like your relational health. Okay, so I try to think of my goals in those 4 things. Stature being physical stature, some physical goals. Wisdom being some things you're learning, your mind. Mental health. Stature, favor with God, your spiritual health. And favor with man, relational goals. So those are kind of the 4 things that I like to think of for growth. So my goals aren't quite aligned along with that. I'm saying all this because I'm still figuring out my kind of worldview approach to goals. So that's kind of more of an aside. But I'm just going to share, what is this? 1, 2, 3, okay. 4 goals. 5 goals, I guess. In Ali's little activity, he does talking about having one, a main quest, and he posed the question what's your main work quest? And so I do have a it's like a primary, but not a primary goal of just like being great at work. And I have goals written out for the year. I've already met with my supervisor about like what like we're looking for, what we're aiming for 2026. And so the biggest thing that is SOPs, standard operating procedures, making everything turnkey. So anyone that can read or is semi-competent, I should be able to hand them this, procedure, and they should be able to film a video. They should be able to, archive footage, whatever. So that's a primary, but not really a primary because it has nothing to do with this channel. So I guess it does because it's me. Anyways, my other big goals, these are like the things that I'm really chasing, really pursuing. These are the quote unquote most important things to me that I feel like I need to accomplish, achieve, take steps towards. In your goals, it is really important to be specific. So some of these are specific, some of them need to be more specific, whatever. I am going to get to 220 pounds, and I will be between 10 and 15% body fat. That is one of my goals for 2026. I am going to share my story, and I'm going to inspire others through this podcast and hopefully by other YouTube videos. I know this is technically on YouTube, but I want to like actually make other videos. Some like creators I'm inspired by are Casey Neistat, The Life of Riza, Adrian Per, like storytelling and those kinds of ways, as well as this podcast. Okay. I do want to be more financially responsible. These are some vague things that I'm asking for help with for someone else. And then I just want to love God and really figure out my spirituality. I have talked about with some very close friends, maybe just 2 people, honestly, about writing my own statement of faith and really diving deep into some of these things. But that's what I'm working towards. And, as I was watching these videos, I've been sharing all these things that I've been learning. Okay. And this is great. I got a goal, but goals are nothing without plans. We all set goals every single year. And so for goals to actually be accomplished, there's another video that I watched. Again, I was at the computer watching videos and writing stuff down for close to 2 hours. And I've never used this method before, but I'm going to go for it. And just because whatever I've been doing has not been working. And so they talked about, it's called the GPS system or the GPS model, GPS mode, whatever. And the G stands for goals, the P stands for your plans, and the S stands for your systems. And so just some notes on that. The goal needs to be clear and specific. And they said it's really important to choose goals that are emotionally compelling. And so for me and my goal to become 220 pounds, the why that is like birthed into that is I want to be around for my family. I want to be strong for my family. I don't have the privilege of being a quote unquote young parent. My parents, when they were my age, had a 10-year-old. Now my parents right now are mid 40s. And so that is very young. And that's not going to be my story just because I beat teen pregnancy. And so emotionally compelling is I want to be here for my kids. I want to be here for my wife. I want to be here a long time for my family. Emotionally compelling is I want to share my story to inspire others. That's the compelling part. Like, okay, I want to share my story. I don't really, I would like to believe that I don't really care about what people perceive of me necessarily, because I want to help people. I want to be rich so I can actually have more resources to help people. I also said that I want a Tesla in there, so maybe there's definitely some vanity in there, but the emotionally compelling part is helping other people. Okay. Now, another really big thing that I thought was very helpful, I think it's funny that I just mentioned vanity, is in this goal setting part of the GPS, you need to have some anti-goals. And anti-goals are things that you want to avoid in the pursuit of this. And so the example that he used was, maybe you want to build a business, but you don't want to sacrifice time with your family. So it's kind of some parameters that you put around this. And so for me, specifically with sharing content, with trying to be inspirational, an anti-goal that I have is that I have to be authentically me, and I have to share the lows just as much as the highs, and that who I am right now in front of this camera is going to be the same exact person that you experience in person. And I think that I do that, but the people watching right now, early 26, December 2025, are people that I know, are close friends. I actually don't even know if my close friends are watching this long ass video, but like, I want to ask you to, keep me accountable to that. If you feel like I'm putting up a front when I'm with you in person compared to who I am right now, I want to know that, because I don't want this to be the Roy Show. I don't want this to be something that it's not. I have like a genuine conviction about, like, this is who I am. And I think that's why I keep getting drawn to this year after year after year after year. I mean, I remember in high school saying, I wish I was a YouTuber. And it's not really for fame, but it's like, I want to have the resources to help people. So an anti-goal for me in sharing my story is to keep it about people, to keep it about helping people. Which a lot of these things are like, yeah, no duh, like, obviously. But there's something about writing it down, getting it on paper, and me being able to read that. Okay, so that was a little bit about the goal. Goal, planning, and system all have 3 little parts. Okay, so for the planning, you need to know your 3 to 5 major moves for what you're doing. Okay, and for me, for my 3 to 5 major moves, I have a lot of lists working that I need to get organized. But one of my big goals is health goals. And so a big major move for me is I lost my Whoop. Unfortunately, I lost the charger. And so I ordered a new Whoop. Okay, that's coming in. That's going to help me track, which is coming up for another point coming up. I am getting dialed in on a 3-day workout split, something that is going to be easy for me to appear to. One of my other mentors from afar, Michael Smoke, says compliance is the best science. Like, is a 3-day workout split the most effective way to work out and to lose 100 pounds? Probably not. But am I going to stick to a 6-day-a-week workout split? Probably not. And so if I can absolutely hit this 3-day split, then, that's great. If I can absolutely hit my step count, that's great. If I can absolutely withhold to my weekly calorie intake, that's great. And so for me, I'm writing down the 3 to 5 major moves, but just to list a few to you right here, again, sharing my progress with you, is I ordered the Whoop. I've got this 3-day workout split. I'm working on getting proper rest so I can actually be efficient in the gym. And for sharing my story, I'm trying to put out 2 podcasts a month, and I'm trying to do 1 YouTube video for next year. I'm hoping to do 12 YouTube videos that aren't podcasts. That is what I'm aiming towards. Okay. So next is when you're making your plan, when you have your 3 to 5 steps, I kind of bled into this a little bit. You need to think of this into 2 things. I've got a theory. Okay. My plan and my 3 to 5 steps, in theory, does it work? And what percentage does it work? Okay, so again, I'm going to use my weight loss for an example. Okay, and I have my 3 to 5 steps of a 3-day workout split, and I'm, walking at least 10,000 steps a day and adhering to my calorie count for the week. Okay, in theory, that absolutely works 100%. That's great. Okay, but that's theory. And then the other thing is the practical percentage. That's where compliance is the science comes in. Okay, because maybe the most efficient way isn't the thing that you're going to actually do the entire time. It's not going to be what sees you through it. And so when you're making your plan, assessing it by, in theory, does this work? He used the example too of if I'm trying to get, brand partnerships, and my plan, my 3 to 5 steps is to post on Instagram once a week for 6 months and to make $10,000 a month. Practically, or in theory, that doesn't work. In theory, you're not going to make $10,000 from content brand dealerships only posting once a week and only sticking with it for 6 months. So that's when the theory works, and then your practical, are you actually going to hold to it? And then the last thing for planning is he kind of calls the crystal ball. And what are your top 3 reasons this isn't going to work? Top 3 reasons why you don't actually achieve this, and then kind of planning and prepping and thinking about those things and avoiding those things. So for me and this content thing, it's really just I think all of my issues kind of stem from just not believing in myself. And that was kind of big. Just going to brush through that. And then the other thing is planning and preparing and holding myself accountable. So those are things that I'm all right, I got those noted, and I'm bringing random strangers that want to listen to my shit and on the ride. Okay. Next, we have systems. And the systems is how do we make sense, or how do we make sure that we stick to the plan? Okay. Again, 3 things is 1, tracking. And so if you don't have a way to track your goals, you need to find there's something about some sort of visual stimulus that gets you going, whether that be, weekly weigh-ins, whether that be, actual piggy bank, trying to save X amount of money, whatever it is, something to track. That's why I ordered the Whoop. That's why I'm sharing this. That's why I did the life audit, because when I do the life audit in 12 months or whenever I do it again, hopefully I can see some sort of increase. It's a way to track where I've been, what I'm doing. Okay. The next thing is reminding. Okay. We do this through journaling. We do this by just time blocking. He talks about looking at, your goals every day, looking at them every week. When you do your weekly reset, look at your goals and to actually stare at them. And he reminded me, he said this stat again, there's a 42% increase in people achieving their goals that write it down opposed to those that don't. So remembering it, boom, back to that podcast. Go listen to it. The last thing, which is definitely going to be my biggest problem for the system part, is accountability. Again, that is why I'm making this video and sharing with you guys. But there's just something about someone being like, hey, where's your video? So if it's, if you catch me slacking, which is bound to happen, then say something to me, please, because I can't do this alone. And I think this is what I'm figuring out. I think this is why I'm trying to up my friendships and be more intentional with the people that I'm around and the kind of people that I'm around, because I can't do this alone. I think that's what fuels me to share my story, to help others, because other people need, we all need somebody. So find someone to share this list with. It can be me, let's go get coffee. Or if you're not close in proximity, let's exchange some messages, hop on a phone call, and share with me the things so we can hold each other accountable to the things that we're pursuing, to the person that we feel God has made us to be, and becoming who it is that we were destined to be. That's some big words, but I feel conviction about a destiny to help people. And I think there are people here, there are people that I'm going to meet, there are people that I've already met, past students of mine, that have something in them that the world needs. A book that needs to be written, a song that needs to be released, you know what I'm saying? A painting that needs to be painted, a degree, some of you need to become a nurse. There's someone that needs you. So many things. But that's kind of it. That was a lot. So if you made it to the end, thank you. If you haven't listened to the podcast before, I encourage you to start from the beginning. I do think that I get better each time, especially visually. My first one looked pretty rough. This one I think looks pretty all right. And that's it. That's 2026, and 2026 is going to be the year that I lose 100 pounds. It's going to be the year that I become financially responsible. It's going to become the year that I consistently share my story with people. And I'm hesitant to talk about this, but I doubt that many people made it this far. I'm planning a documentary for my weight loss, and I'm hoping to do a in-person premiere the spring of 2027. So 2026, I'm going to be losing the weight, documenting it, and then in the spring is when I'm hoping to do an actual premiere where I invite people, anyone that wants to come and watch this documentary for the first time. This is the first time that I've said this out loud. I mean, I'm thinking 18 months in from now. I guess technically 15, but that stuff gets me fired up. And so if you're here from day one, shout out. If you're here because you watched the premiere, you stumbled upon me later than December of 2025, then what's up? Welcome. I wonder how I'm doing today. But that's all I have for you guys today. Control what you guys can control. Make it a great day, and I'll see you on the next one.